Fantasy football. 2 rookies to drop for Week 10. As we head into Week 10 of the NFL season, it's time to take a hard look at your fantasy roster and make some tough decisions. Some players just aren't living up to expectations, and it may be time to part ways. Let's dive into 2 rookie players who are trending down and should be considered for your fantasy football drop list this week. 1. Xavier Worthy, WR. Kansas City Chiefs, 85%. Xavier Worthy has had a rough stretch lately. After a couple of missed opportunities against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he was largely ignored in the Chiefs' offense. Worthy finished with just 3 receptions for 39 yards on 19 targets through the first 9 weeks. And he hasn't shown enough to earn a reliable role. With DeAndre Hopkins settling in and Travis Kelce back to his usual dominant self, the Chiefs' offense simply doesn't need to force targets to Worthy. This could very well be a redshirt year for the rookie, meaning the fantasy volume just isn't there. Drop him if you need the roster space. 2. Ty Chandler, RB. Minnesota Vikings, 20%. Once considered a promising stash, Ty Chandler has fallen down the depth chart in Minnesota, with Cam Akers taking over as the second-string running back. Chandler didn't even see an offensive snap in Week 9. As a result, Chandler is no longer a viable option in most fantasy leagues. If a back slides to third on their team's depth chart, it's usually time to cut bait. Don't wait, drop Chandler if you're holding on to him. Other Week 10 drop candidates. Caleb Williams, QB, Chicago Bears, 72%. Despite being highly touted, Caleb Williams has struggled to produce fantasy points. He's failed to crack 10 fantasy points in his last 2 starts and has some tough matchups ahead, including the New England Patriots and Green Bay Packers. The Bears seem content to lean on their defense and running game, making Williams a risky start for the rest of the season. It's time to let go of the rookie QB for now. Isaiah Likely, Baltimore Ravens, 38%. Isaiah Likely looked promising after an explosive season opener, but since then, his role has dwindled, with Mark Andrews back in action and the Ravens adding another target in Diontae Johnson. Likely has become an afterthought in the passing game. He has only 15 catches since Week 1, making him a hard player to justify keeping on your roster. Consider dropping Likely for a more consistent tight end. Elijah Moore, WR. Cleveland Browns, 14%. Elijah Moore has been a non-factor in the Browns' offense this season. At best, he's the third receiving option behind Amari Cooper and David Njoku, and the second half of the Browns' schedule looks difficult. With a bye week on the horizon, now may be the time to cut Moore and look for better options at wide receiver. Time to make the call, as we head into the final stretch of the season. It's crucial to stay on top of your roster decisions. If these players are taking up valuable bench space and not producing, it's time to move on. Drop them and make room for waiver wire pickups that can help you make a late season push.